Shall we have a bit of surf music today? I want to look at the track Bullwinkle Part 2 by the Centurions. And is there a Bullwinkle Part 1? I'm not sure. Maybe someone can let me know whether such a thing exists. I've certainly never heard it. Anyway, this tune is one of my favourite surf tracks. Really love the atmosphere of this one. It's very dark and brooding sounding. And if you don't recognise the name of the track, you may well recognise the tune because it was used in the Pulp Fiction soundtrack. Along with quite a few other surf pieces. I think Mizzaloo was in there, which I've done a video on, and Surf Rider, and I think that film and the soundtrack to that film served to repopularise surf music a little bit. Let me begin by playing through the entire track, and if you know the original you will know that there's a big sax solo in the middle of this one, and I thought rather than hire a sax player to come and play on my little YouTube video, I'd actually replace the sax solo with a guitar solo. So I'm going to try some stuff there and see what happens. Then of course I'll break everything down and explain what's going on. So let's get started. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on here, and the first thing to say is that we are detuned for this one. So I've got my entire guitar tuned down a tone or a whole step. So in terms of the note names, we've got a D, a G, a C, an F, an A, and a D. Now of course you don't have to detune to be able to play this piece. It's going to work, it's going to sound good in standard tuning. But I do think that that detuned sound does play quite a big part in the darkness and the atmosphere of this piece. So I do urge you to have a go. It's not hard to do. It takes a few minutes just to tune down all those strings, and then you probably have to retune it a couple of times just to make sure everything settles down properly. But it's worth it, I think, just because of it gives you that kind of nice dark sound. Now this whole piece is really a minor blues in the key of D minor, but I think for the purposes of this teaching segment of the video I'm going to be talking about it as though it were in standard tuning. So I'm going to be calling this an E minor and an A minor rather than a D minor and a G minor, otherwise we're all going to get hopelessly confused. So let's start with the introduction to the tune. There's a bass guitar introduction, and what the guitar is doing is just strumming those basic chords to the minor blues. So we're starting off with just some nice open chord shapes. So the E minor chord there, just giving it a good strum, giving it a bit of the vibrato arm as well. It's very simple, but it's so cool. Just an E minor chord strummed with a bit of reverb and a bit of a wiggle on the vibrato arm. It just sounds amazing. pay attention to the details here, the way you strum it. You just want to drag your pick across the strings. You don't want to strum too quickly. Just drag the pick, and then you can either just dip with the vibrato arm, or you can give it a bit more of a wobble. So quite a wide range of different sounds and effects you can get just out of that one simple chord. And another thing you might like to do is just strum quite close to the bridge, and that will just give you a bit of extra brightness and twang. And then all we're doing is just taking these chords round the minor blues progression. So we've got 4 bars on E minor. We've just got these long strums, letting them hang for 2 bars. So we've got E minor, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, repeating that. And then we're going to A minor for 2 bars, then back to E minor. Then we've got the 5 chord, which is a B minor, and I'm playing that as a bar chord up at the 7th fret, and then A minor, and then back home to E minor. So that's how I'm choosing to do it. I think those are the chord voicings used on the recording. You have got some options here, but it sounds to me like at the top of the track we've got an open E minor and A minor chord, and then I'm hearing that high B on the B minor, so I'm assuming it's played up there at the 7th fret. You could of course play it in some other ways, but that's how I've chosen to do it. Next we're into what I'm going to call the first verse of the tune, and it's quite a simple part, mostly just played in the open position using the E minor pentatonic scale. So I'm just going to whiz you through what's going on here. The melody itself is very simple to play, but some of the rhythms and the little articulations are a little bit tricky, so the best thing to do is just to listen to the recording, and you can pick up on some of those nuances. And whilst you're learning this, you might like to think about your E minor pentatonic scale shapes. If you don't already know them, you can play the E minor pentatonic scale down in the open position. And you've also got that extra little box shape that you can slide up into. This is a very common move. So just sliding from 2 to 4 on the 3rd string, and then you're into this little box shape at the 3rd and 5th fret. So that's a very good option as well. And the main theme starts like this. We've got the first phrase, just played using that E minor pentatonic scale. We're emphasizing that E note, so thinking about chord tones here, often with this melody it's emphasizing the root of the chord that we're on at any given moment. So if we're on the 1 chord, you're emphasizing that E note. So just a little hammer on there from the open D to the root. And then we're changing to the 4 chord, the A minor, and we're landing on that A root note. Then we've got the first of these little slides on the 3rd string, so sliding from 2 to 4, and then catching this high G note on the top string, and then back to the root note, then we're going to the 5 chord, again hitting the root, so sliding up to that root note there, which is a B note, and then the 4 chord, once again the root note, so slide up and down from between the A and the B notes there, and then back home to the root, and then finishing off on the B. So that's the first verse. Of course it's really going to come to life once you turn on the reverb, so let me do just that and I'll play through the whole thing slowly. We've got 2, 3, 4. got the solo section. We've got two 12-bar choruses of the solo, and I'm going to come back to what I was playing in the solo. I'm just going to whiz ahead and take you through the verse that you hear at the end of the track, and that's just a variation on the main melody. So again, I'm just going to whiz you through what's going on here. We're kicking off with this phrase. So it's all E minor pentatonic, a little bit more movement in this verse of the tune, and it's not so reliant on those root notes. It's kind of moving about a little bit more. And then we've got this, the same move that we had in the opening verse. So a slide or a hammer from A to B, catching that high G, and then so more of the same kind of thing. There we've got the slide up, but we're catching the open top string this time. Then we're into this kind of idea, just going between the open D and the E note at the 2nd fret. And sometimes I can hear the open 3rd string coming through as well. Then we've got, so quite simple. Then we've got some slightly faster stuff happening. So this is probably the most technical part of the tune, I think, because there are some quite quick 16th notes in there. So, and it's this little move here. We've got the 2nd fret on the 3rd string and the open string, and then coming down to this E. So, and you can pull off from the A to the G there. Just makes it a little bit easier to get the speed, or you can pick all of those notes if you prefer. So, and then finally we're just coming down to that low B note there, which matches the 5 chord at the end of this verse. So let me put all of that together for you with the reverb. And for the outro of the tune, we're back to those strummy chords, the same strummy chords that we had in the intro. So E minor, I can hear a slight variation there. I'm hearing the E minor played up at the 7th fret. And you could even try strumming that one from high to low, so moving the pick upwards through the chord. That sounds cool. And then B minor, A minor, and there is actually just a little ending lick as well, which goes like this. So I'm hearing a slide from 2 to 3 on the 3rd string, so sliding into that flat 5, that blues scale note, and then ending with a strum on the open E minor chord. Now for my solo, it was an improvised solo, but I did have a few ideas and licks that I wanted to throw in there, so I'm going to take you through what I was doing, and I will tab out note for note what I played at the start of this video. But I think a better approach, really, rather than learning my solo note for note, is just to go through it and take the ideas that you like and understand the concepts, and then you can do something original, something of your own. Now, I opened the solo with a melodic idea which is very similar to what the sax is playing on the original recording, so that the sax is playing something like this. So a lot of the sax solo is just very simple E minor pentatonic melodies. So I've got this little melody played on the B string and then coming down to this E note, and just to thicken up the sound I was letting the open top string ring as well. That's all played over the E minor, over the one chord, and then going to the 4 chord there, and I'm emphasising the root note, the A note there. Then I'm coming down an arpeggio, and this is something that the sax is doing. It's kind of a mixture of pentatonic stuff, and there's some more arpeggio based stuff in there as well. I quite like the sound of this particular arpeggio line. So really just coming down an A minor 7 arpeggio. Then I played an idea which was like that, so going to the E minor chord, and this is really an E minor 9 arpeggio, which is a nice sound. We've got the root, the flat 3rd, 5th, 7th, the flat 7th, and this note here, this F sharp, that's the 9th. So I'm just descending that, and then over the B minor to the A minor. I was just playing some double stops on the 2nd and 3rd strings. And then just rounding off with some E minor pentatonic stuff down at this end of the fretboard. And for the second half of the solo, I just wanted to ramp up the energy a little bit, so it's getting a little bit busier. There are more double stops, so I started off with this kind of phrase. So some double stops here, so, and then, so I love these kind of dissonant double stop sounds. So I've got 15 on the B and 12 on the high E, and then moving that over to the next pair of strings. So I like that kind of major second and minor second dissonance where you're playing those notes on adjacent strings and letting them ring together. And then for the 4 chord, I fell into this idea. So a kind of melodic kind of idea. We've got the C note here and the 9th once again here, which is the B. Going back to the 1 chord there with some minor pentatonic stuff, and then I wound up the solo with something like this. So this is very similar to what I was talking about last week in the soul soloing video. So I'm thinking out of chord shapes here and playing some kind of Hendrixy type stuff, if you want to describe it like that. So for the B minor chord, and then that same kind of thing down 2 frets for the A minor, and then for the 1 chord, same kind of idea up there in the 12th position. So let me stomp on the reverb. I'll try and piece some of that together for you. It might not be note for note exactly what I played at the start of this video, but I hope you'll get the gist of what I was doing. there we are, and what I suggest is playing around with some of those ideas, some of those concepts, but making it your own. Okay, let me talk about the gear that I'm using in this video, and I've got a nice surf setup going on here today, and the guitar is my Jazzmaster, and really you can play surf on any style of guitar, but it does help to have a whammy bar, a vibrato arm, so that's quite an important element of the surf style, but really any guitar where you've got that happening will work. Now, the amp that I'm using today is my Fender Princeton. I'm using a couple of pedals today. I've got a little bit of overdrive from my J Rocket Archer pedal, and clearly the key component of the surf sound is the reverb, and for that I'm using my kind of go-to surf reverb pedal. It's the Surfy Bear reverb unit. It's a real spring reverb unit. You may well say, well, the Princeton's got a very nice spring reverb in it, why bother with the pedal? And yes, the spring reverb in the Princeton is great, but it's not quite as characterful or as surfy sounding as the dedicated unit. So let's have some sounds then. This is the guitar just going straight into the Princeton. So just a nice basic clean sound and a bit of overdrive from the Archer. So you can hear it's still essentially a clean sound, but it just adds a little bit of grit with the overdrive pedal in there. And then if I stomp on the reverb, it sounds like this. That's it for this video. The tab will of course be up on my Patreon page, and it's going to be a detailed tab. I will tab out all of the parts that I've just discussed, including my guitar solo, and I'm also going to put my backing track up there, and it's a nice sounding backing track if I do say so myself. I kind of went to the effort of recording some real drums for this, got a really nice bass sound, so it's fun to play along to. So again, check that out on my Patreon page should you wish. Thanks for watching, see you next time.